and script source. Okay, we have a string here, and we kind of see that because it's black. How would this look if this was an object?
Red.
Yeah.
Blue or arrow.
Yeah, exactly. And we can click on the arrow and it'll fold out and it'll show the keys like this. Okay, we have this one we can click and we see these as well. Here, that means it's an object. But here it's just like a plain string. But we can take this string, which is formatted as a JSON, okay? And we can say, let's convert this into an actual object. So we say console.log JSON dot pass, and then we take the JSON example. Okay, here's the difference from JSON to object, exactly. Okay, and this is the difference. JSON is just a string, it's just text, it's nothing else. Okay, but we can take that string and we can say, well, I know this is JSON, so I want it to be converted into a JavaScript object. Okay, now I have an object that I can use actively in JavaScript. Okay, so it goes from being just a string to a JavaScript object. So what could I, for example, do with a JavaScript object that I couldn't do with just the
Dot properties.
exactly? So dot what?
One question. JSON, is it always gonna be in the object? I mean, I know it's string, but is it always gonna be in object format? So when we parse it, so it's gonna give us object back?
No, it can be a string, it can be a number, it can be an array, it can be a object.
So will it be a different method to parse it, like an
No.
object or?
No, we can try and do it here. So now we have an object. So we have this object where name is a key and age is a key. So what does that mean we can do here?
Dot name.
Dot name. Let's try that. Benjamin, okay? But we cannot say this. That will give problem because that's just a string. I don't know if it'll say anything. It'll just return undefined. Okay? But here we say pass this string into an object. So it's like JSON dot pass this object. Okay, so here let's call this passed JavaScript object. Okay, and with the passed JavaScript object I can do dot name. Okay, but I can go the other way as well. So what does that mean?
So we can convert object into JSON.
Exactly. So if I have a user, what type is that?
Objects.
Do you think? Object. We would think so. It could be other things, but it's most likely that it's an object. Okay, it has name 23. 23. Great name.
That's the name of the company.
Age also 23. Okay, so this is a JavaScript object. Now we can say, let's actually call it that. JavaScript object. Now we can say JSON dot. Yes, exactly. Stringify this object. Now we are going the other way. Now we are taking a JavaScript object and we are just converting it into a string. And let's log that out. This. Okay, and let's also log this one out, just so it's like completely clear. So here we're going from a string. Sorry, I'm changing this so much around. Here we're going from a string. We're saying JSON.pass. From that we get a JavaScript object that we can call .name on. Okay. But we can go the other way around as well. Here we have an object where we could call .name on it, no problem, because it's a JavaScript object, and we convert that back into just a normal string. So just JSON. Okay?
JSON to object, object to JSON.
Yes.
Is it just a different form of databases? Like
Exactly. We'll use it for database, and we'll come to that in a second. Okay? So now we go to exercise 2. I'll just find the link for it here. Go through planets.json and explain the data structure. So what does data structure mean? Does any of you know that?
the way the data is stored, like if it is object or if it
Exactly. So when I ask for the data structure, I expect you to ask or answer something like, well, it's an array of objects, and some of those objects has a key that is called drinks, and that will return an array. So you have to go through this. So to begin with, what kind of data structure are we looking at here?
This is objects.
Exactly. We have an object here. It's not an array. It could have been.
Inside it.
Look here. Here we have JSON, okay? And it starts with an array. We don't have that here, okay? We have an object. Then we have a key called description that contains a string. Then we have a key called planets, and it contains something. So you kind of have to describe the data structure of that, okay? That's the first part. The second part is that using the planets variable, so that's this one. Okay, you see here we have some JSON. Okay, we call JSON.pass on that, and what do we get from that?
String.
Pass.
No, pass is good.
We call JSON.pass.
It's always
Object.
Samara?
Object.
Object. Yes, we have an object here that we can use in JavaScript, okay? But we only have an object because this is an object. If we called, maybe I should just quickly explain that. If we say JSON.pass on, for example, something that is an array, then we will have an array. Okay. So it's just to say JSON is not always an object, but you can read that by looking here. How does it start? What is the start of it? Here it's an object. Let me just. Here is another JSON. Here it just starts with an array. So. Yes, okay, so here we have an object because the JSON is an object, and then I say using this object or this variable console.log Jupiter's last moon. Okay, so you have to use like objects and select the right key to kind of get the last Jupiter of the last moon of Jupiter. Okay. And number one, just like write it down. It's not so strict, but yes.